Well, it's another week, another tough past week. Fortunately, we understood what we was up against. We talked about one of the premier top 20 football team in Division One, not 1AA, Division One. And as I looked across the country and saw a lot of Division One schools got a lot of points scored upon them, and I saw the University of Miami went down 52-13 to Kansas, and a lot of other people had a lot of points scored. I felt pretty good in a way, but feel good for losing. But at the same time, I preached all week that this game was going to be about character for our guys. And the thing that I was looking for more than anything was for them not to quit. And I can honestly say, especially the second half, I can honestly say that the kids did not quit. And we was playing up. They got a real good football team. I told Coach Patterson that after the game that I felt like they're going to have a successful season. The size of those guys, the athleticism that they have at all positions, it's going to be compared to anybody they play. But I also think what it does for us is give our guys, especially our young guys, understanding what we talk about every day about the weight room, practice hard, play hard, and things going to happen for you. And hopefully it'll pay off for us this week, because this is by far the most important week for us that we've been in since the first week.
Coach, you jumped into conference play pretty early in this third week of the season. Are you a fan of having a conference game and a couple of conference games this early, or would you rather take a little more time against non-conference opponents to kind of feel things out?
It's unfortunate, and I said this when I got back last year at one of the conference meetings. I think it's unfortunate that the conference that stepped in and did the scheduling for us. For so many years, schedule was basically in place. We've always played Alcorn early, but we wouldn't have played them on Labor Day weekend. We've always played Jackson around that October the 25th, 23rd area. And doing that, I think you kind of upset the natural rivalries that we've had. Like next year, we play Alabama A&M on the 30th of August. For either one of us, whether we was playing them at home, whether we was playing at home, it's not a natural rivalry for us. Sure, you would like to have a couple games under your belt, but that's not an excuse the way we played last week. I think this week, the way we played, you can blame all that on TCU.
Did you learn anything about your team on this last road game?
Well, ain't no question. Like I said, all week long we preach character. And in that dressing room at halftime, that's what we spoke about, not giving up. And I can understand the guys did go out and compete. They played hard. It's one guy particularly caught my eye, and I looked at Clint Marsh, our right guard, and he basically dominated his guy all night. And when I got through watching his tape this morning, what I said was Clint Marsh could play for us and he can play for them. And I think that's what we're looking for is positive things like that from our guys. But they did play hard.
Many chances as he had, too. He did a good job. Was Fabian Carter, though?
Fabian, we've asked Fabian to do so many things, and early on when the first punt, they ran back, they got off to a good start on it. But Fabian hit the ball well. He made a TD saving tackle, which you don't want your punter making a tackle. We fell off a lot of tackles. I think we got to do a better job in that area. But I think overall, the kids played as hard as they can play. I'm not ashamed to say that we was overmatched. At the end of the day, that's basically what it was.
You come out all right injury-wise?
I think that's the best part about this game for us is experience, character building, and come out healthy. I think that's the most important thing.
Talk a little bit about your opponent this weekend. What do you see from them? Just talk about that a little bit.
Well, Barlow has built a pretty good football team over there. Last year, up in Montgomery, they played as well. They came away with a win. They added probably one of the premier running backs, not only in our conference, but anybody's conference in Crowell. They got a quarterback who can tuck it and run with them. They played Bethune-Cookman real well a couple weeks ago. They was up 21-0 at one point, and found a way to not to win the football game. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be more of a dogfight for us. We're in our conference. We both fighting for the same right, and that's the opportunity to play in Birmingham.
Can you say a little bit more about that running back, just, what he does?
I know more about what he did at Georgia than what he's done now. He hadn't done a whole lot. I don't know what kind of week he had this past week. I really hadn't looked at his stats or anything like that, but we do know the highlights I've seen him at Georgia. He ran well in the SEC. I think we do have a tough task of making sure we can stop him, but the quarterback is a guy that also likes to pull it down and run. So they got some weapons. We got to be cognizant of. We got to play a better football game than we played a couple weeks ago against Alcorn. That's for sure. We certainly can't make those mistakes.
I guess, how do you keep the character that you guys learned in the TCU game going into this game? It's not, it's not that big Division I matchup like you had to build the character in that game. I guess, how do you keep that going against your conference opponent?
I think the TCU game did for us is gave our young guys a look-see of what it takes to be a good football team. I think that's the most important thing. And we preach it all the time. We preach the weight room. We practice hard, never give up. And I think they saw a good taste of what it's like when you give 110% on every play. And we got a teaching tube. The TCU game tape for us is a teaching tube, and we got an opportunity to show them exactly what we've been preaching to them. Sometimes, when you're young and you come in, you see things and you listen to what we say, you take it for granted. But I think now, seeing it up close, you give them real time. And to me, they either got to make a choice. They either go up or they go backwards.
Sort of it's been asked already, but how do you feel like DJ has played so far this season?
I think DJ has played as well as the offensive line has allowed him to play. He hadn't had no problem handing the ball off. His problems come in pass protection. And irregardless of what anybody might say, if you've never been in that position, there's a whole lot of things you can't do as a quarterback. You certainly can't block for yourself. And every time we've had an opportunity to hit a big play, it seems like to me somebody else, other colored jerseys is covering him up. So I think when you talk about the quarterback play, that's a non-issue because no matter who you are, it's not about the quarterback. Quarterback can be as good as the people around you. If the guys around you are not playing well, quarterback certainly would not play well.
When you look at, going back to the Isaiah Crowell situation, you guys had a similar thing right before LSU season started with Tyrann Mathieu because it was a similar high-profile guy that comes into a lower division school. Have you dealt with anything like that as a coach?
No, the only guy I ever talked to that was a high-profile guy was Cesar Collins. He took a visit up here back then. We did not get in touch. We had people call us on Matthews, but we did not talk to Matthews. It's certain things I think you got to look at. I thought we had a great camp. We got some great young corners. And one of the conversations that Coach Culpepper and I had was, sure, every coach would like to have a Matthews on the team, but at the end of the day, you got to look at it from the chemistry of your football team. Sometimes you might have to pass on some situations that might not be good for the whole team. And not saying that he wouldn't have. We didn't talk to him. And everybody who tried to talk to him or did talk to him realized that that's not where he wanted to be.
Paraloo never did figure here, did he? Ryan?
I don't think I was here during Paraloo time when he came out. And I might have been at the end, but at that time, we had Bruce Eugene. And the only guy we ever talked to was Casey Prentice when he came out of TCU. And the best thing happened in that situation that Casey Prentice wanted #1 and Brian Morgan had #1 and we couldn't supply him with #1. And it was good that he went to Florida A&M because we discovered Bruce Eugene.
But it's obvious, Doug, when you play a town, I know it's probably a silly question, but you knew when you go out on the field in the first, you're thinking, God darn, this is a higher class. division above you. Is it obvious on the speed and the athleticism or not?
You know, for me, but it's a little tough for me than it is for those guys.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that from history of having played here. I had an opportunity to play against 5 Division I football teams, and we were 4-1. So for me, I look at it a little different. But I do understand from over the years the recruiting process and what has transpired over the last few years and the resources, the facilities, and everything from a recruiting standpoint. The athlete that was here when I was here that I played with is hard to come by. But at the same time, one thing you can't make up for is effort and talent and things like that. And they certainly is a talented football team, and they gave a great effort. But at least we can give an effort. And what I try to instill in the guys, the football is shaped funny. Ain't no telling what way the ball would bounce. If things bounce your way sometime, you got to take advantage of it.
I noticed you really spread out the carries in the TCU game. You had 3 guys that had 7 or more carries. Is that something that you're looking forward to in the future, or is Darn still the #1 guy?
I don't look at it from spreading it out. I look at it giving guys opportunity. Where we were in those football games, I think Skinner deserved an opportunity to carry the ball, Warren, Martin, and all of them, just the runner. Right now, I can honestly say this, Dunn is not running the ball as hard as a team as we would like for him to. The guy that is showing the enthusiasm of running the football certainly has been Jeremy Runner. And it's something that as a coaching staff that we certainly have to visit.
Elaborate a little bit more on Jeremy Runner. You know, he is the Neville kid coming up from here. Elaborate a little bit on him.
Jeremy is a guy that spent a whole year watching practice last year. Jeremy Runner did not miss a day of practice. He probably was at practice more than some of the guys was, because he had this burning desire getting on the football field. He did what he had to do in the classroom. He came to work. He got in shape. And I think in the Alcorn game, he proved that he deserved an opportunity to play on this football team. And he certainly has not disappointed anybody from expectation of what he really was and what he has been. And we're looking forward to giving him more carries.
Do you feel like this game coming up is a kind of a must-win situation, considering you're already down in conference play?
I'm hard to look at it from a must situation. It's a game that we need to win. I'm never going to put myself in that position as a must-win because, number one, as a coach, as a staff, we exactly know who we're working with, and we try not to use it as excuses. But we're a lot younger football team than we were last year. We don't have a guy that started on the front line on defense that had over 8 tackles last year. So we got a base new group there, and we're playing with a bunch of young guys in the secondary that has to grow up. And I do feel like the last 2 weeks has given them an opportunity to grow up. So I got the utmost confidence in them that they're going to go out and play, and they have to. But I'm not going to put them, I'm not going to put the coaching staff in a must-win situation. Now, we're not there. We got time.
In the TCU game, we saw a little bit of Frank Rivers.
And then you saw a little bit of Frank Rivers.
Will we see more of him throughout the season?
I'm not going to answer that. We saw a little bit because the game was what it was. That's why you saw Skinner. That's why you saw a lot of young guys that played the other night that probably wouldn't play in certain situations. There's not a quarterback. We're not going to get into that Frank Rivers DJ. DJ is the starting quarterback, and that's point blank. You can write that to all the people, naysayers who coach from the sidelines, from the booth, and all your buddies who they say. You know, it's not a quarterback controversy. DJ is the quarterback. Clear.
With the way things are going with Dorrance and Jeremy, is Dorrance going to potentially see some diminished carries?
I think if you're talking about an area who might diminish play time, I think it's the running back area, because I do feel like now Skinner had thrown himself in the mix. I think Runner definitely is in the mix, and Dorrance has to do a better job of doing what he's supposed to do, doing what he did last year. You know, sometimes we get beside ourselves and we think it is what it is, but it's not like that with me. You know, I'm going to try to play the guy that I know deserve to play.
And Martin, too. You got Martin.
I got you one Martin. We got 4 guys that I feel like deserve an opportunity to carry the football.
You said Dorrance hadn't done what he's done last year. What is that?
Dorrance, let me be straight on. Dorrance is not hitting the hole that I think he should. I think he has run away from some people so much and ran the daylight. I think every little bright spot sometime as a running back, and it's hard to see from the side, but when you look at the tape and you look at it from the end zone standpoint, you kind of know where he should have hit. Sometimes you might not get but 2 or 3 yards, but you got to hit in there anyway, and sometimes you'll come out of there. And I think Dorrance has to do a better job of picking where he should run the football.
Coming home, just playing here, you can say about that, first one here.
Well, it's always good to come home, come out your own dressing room, but I think at the end of the day, you still got to play well. You know, we try to get the guys to feel like no matter where you are, it's home because it's a football field. But we also know that there's nothing like coming out your own dressing room, knowing you don't have to get on a bus, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just walk down the stairs and go play football. That's a good feeling, and it's good to be home for a week.